good morning. I'm your host, Hassan Aline,
Co-host Carl
in
Williams.
Apartheid, Michigan. Apartheid, Michigan, where the laws don't apply equally. How about that? Well, what are we talking about today? First thing, I guess I better get my little 2 cents out the way here with the transitional manager. That's what they call it under new law. That emergency manager was too strong, and people looking at it, so they just changed the name to transitional manager.
Which is the same thing. They're still doing the same thing, just a different name.
And Stephen Rose, that's the guy that was the former judge. Stephen Rose is the transitional manager for the school board, and he put an order to transitional manager of the Detroit Public School Community District regarding, so it's at the member investment plan and buyback. Well, they got all kind of stuff in here uh, for the folks in the school system that they're trying to rake them over the coals. What was this thing there? The man said he was made emergency manager. Governor Richard Snyder designated Stephen Rose the emergency manager for DPS under the Local Financial Stability and Choice Act as the transition manager for the community district. So he's the transition manager. And they want to say that this law has taken immediate effect when the law hasn't taken immediate effect. And we've been telling you that. And you may say, what are you talking about? Well, if it doesn't take immediate effect, if they didn't get the 2/3 votes in both houses for immediate effect, that means they have to wait till next year, end of March, almost April the 1st, before the law goes into effect. Now, Hood Research have sent the black legislators in the Senate and in the House of Representatives up in Lansing a request for them to send the Attorney General a written request. One of them, all of them, it don't matter. As individuals or together, they're scary. Send them a request for the Attorney General to give his opinion whether the law has immediate effect or not. And at this point, they haven't done it. Most of them say, well, they didn't get it. They didn't get it in the email. So they had to resend some of them. And we haven't heard from anybody. We haven't heard from Coleman Young Jr., what's the guy? Durhal. He was reelected. We haven't heard from them. We haven't heard from Brian Banks. What's her name? Dag No-Go? Dag No-Go. We haven't heard from her. Don't even talk about it when they come on those programs she's on.
She's on yesterday.
And so they don't want to say, ladies and gentlemen, tell us the truth about anything. Nothing. They just want to sit there and say, they're getting paid. They're reps. And they're going to say they're representing us. They're supposed to be representing us, but it appears they're representing the Republicans to me.
They're most certainly not representing us, and they're not telling us what the law says, especially when they make a law or policy and it's in violation of the Constitution, and they just sit there and don't say anything.
Well, read that again. We got some new listeners, Carl. Read what the Constitution says constitutes immediate effect. How do you get immediate effect on a bill?
There's Article 4, Section 27.
Would you say Article 4, Section 27?
Yes, Article 4, Section 27.
Of the Michigan Constitution.
Yeah, Michigan State Constitution. No act shall take effect until the expiration of 90 days from the end of the session at which it was passed. But the legislature may give immediate effect to the act by a 2/3 vote of members elected and serving in each house.
So in order to get immediate effect, they have to have a 2/3 vote.
Correct.
And they didn't get a 2/3 vote.
In both houses.
Let me see.
Didn't you say it was a simple majority?
Yeah, here it is in Roll call 216 on 5/5/2016. They had 57 yays and 51 nays. Isn't that a simple majority?
That's a simple majority.
That's not a 2/3 majority.
Nope.
Everybody didn't vote. That's only it's 110 people, and that's 108. So 2 people didn't even vote for whatever reason rather. And that was in the House. And where was the one in the Senate?
Now you reading from the journal, right?
Well, yeah, the Michigan legislature, there's a journal here. They got
Right.
I call them the slips, where they tell you what happened. And here in the Senate, it says 19 yays and 18 nays.
That's sure not a 2/3.
That's 37. That's 37 folks voting. I thought they had 38 in the Senate.
It is.
Well,
Unless maybe somebody didn't vote,
or didn't show up.
didn't show up or something.
But now, here's what they say now. They say pass, given immediate effect, roll call number 428, 19 yeas and 18 nays. Now, we know it take a 2/3 majority in both houses. Neither one of them got it, but they are such liars. The Republicans are such liars that they say, they tap the gavel and say, we giving this immediate effect in violation of the Michigan Constitution. That's why it doesn't have immediate effect, and that's why your Democrats are too scared to say anything.
Sit there and won't say nothing.
Won't open their mouth. And father, look, ladies and gentlemen, what are you talking about? I know you're saying, well, Hassan, what are you talking about? What do you mean they won't say anything? The man is Republican. We don't care if Bill Schuette, the Attorney General, is a Republican. We know he's a Republican. But he wants to run for the governor. He wants to be the next governor.
That's right.
Why do you want a man that's another liar sitting there? He's covering up the law. He's covering up the law.
He's supposed to be enforcing the Constitution, not violating it.
So why would you ask them? Because you want it on record where this man stands. What is his position as Attorney General? How many lies can he tell and he expects to win the governorship? It's impossible. So if they're Democrats and they want to beat this fool in 2 years, when they run again 2 years from now, they got ammunition. So they're helping the man. They're helping to cover up.
That's
They're not
right.
opening their mouth. They are paid Democrats. Aren't they paid?
They must be paid Democrat. I mean, they're not saying anything for us.
They are paid Democrats because they ran on the Democratic ticket. They are Democratic senators in the House. They're not Republican senators in the House. Those are Democratic state reps. Brian Banks is a Democratic state rep. Who don't know that by now? Name it all in the paper. They got him up. They got him on trial. Attorney General Schuette, Bill Schuette, had the man on trial, and he's giving him a break. Yeah, Banks is giving him a break. He's not saying anything about the bill. Send him a letter.
He's too busy trying to defend himself to talk about it.
How do he think he's trying to defend himself? And I don't know what they're going to do to him because, look.
They ain't doing nothing to the rest of them. What's their excuse?
The rest of them just scared, man. We didn't send no heavyweights up there. We didn't send no lightweights or featherweights up to the legislature. We sent a bunch of pantyweights up to the legislature. People that don't even know how to fight.
And this ain't really just fighting. That's all you doing is enforcing the Constitution, which you took an oath to do.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, it's like with a state rep, Brian Banks. You know, the newspapers say that he almost got away with being indicted because there was only one day. There was only one day from being a day short. And you're going to take their word? You're not going to count the days? You're not going to go back 6 years and count up how many days it is? There's a lot of old calendars around. The cell phone might even go back that far for you. But here's the point, ladies and gentlemen. You may believe them. You may say, well, man, you know, they got good people. They count. Ah, come on. How did you come up with it? How did you come up with it? Did you say, well, it's 365 days a year times 3, and that's how you came up with how many days they counted? Uh-huh, they probably did that. Too lazy. But what about the leap year? Every 4 years, there's a leap year.
Yeah, that's a change.
Isn't there an extra day in a leap year? Wow. Wow, Mr. Brian Banks, you better look at that. You can't count either, huh?
Ain't thought about it.
Haven't thought about it. Well, they not after me, not yet. So we could think about it for him. You know, we try to get in touch with the man, so some of the stuff that we would tell him probably, we can put it out here on the air. What difference do it make? It's helping him. We didn't want no credit for it, but why don't he check out the leap year? Since it come every 4 years, and they got to go back 6 years, or something that happened 6 years ago, and they say they always lying. Well, we got it by a day. We got it by a day. Robert Davis got a lawsuit in on the land bank, and they swear up and down that they made it in time. The bill didn't take effect. They talking about 3 or 4 days or 3 or 4 months. Same thing. Same thing, but they're lying. And so you got a lying Stephen Rose. You ought to call him Stephen Rogue. Since he's a rogue, he steals people's money. He can't count, and all of a sudden he wants to train people on the school board. He never been on the school board. What are you going to train them to do?
What do you know about education anyway?
Nothing except keep you dumb. Hey, the man sat on the bench as a judge, so he's authoritarian, he's a dictator, and he intimidates people. And he's forgotten he's not on the bench anymore. He's not a judge. But y'all scared of him. He's not a judge anymore, but you're still scared of him. That white supremacy theory got him, don't it?
That's why they put him there.
That's why they put him there, so they can still be scared of him.
You know, they ain't gonna say nothing.
They ain't gonna open their mouth.
We sit up here and we tell them where he's wrong. They're not gonna say anything. Well, he's the judge, you know.
So they running.
He must know what he's doing.
They running for an office don't exist. They going down there where the kisses ring. Well, he's the poke, ain't he?
Poke or what?
Oh. Well, they down there kissing his ring in then. That's what it is, huh? Okay, we know about those kisses now. Ain't no babies down there.
Yeah, they seem like they racing to do it because
they racing.
Standing up. Nobody's standing up.
When you go to court, ladies and gentlemen, it's an old saying. The judge is the enemy, and your lawyer is a double agent. Double agent. So you better remember that. Look at what happened.
And the court is not your friend.
The court is definitely not your friend. What about the lawsuit with the school board where Blakely was in the wrong court? And they had a good argument.
Oh, yeah.
But what good is you right, and the man got a good argument, and it went to the wrong court. So they dismissed it. Well, they dismissed it? Maybe without prejudice. They told him he had to go back to another court. He was in the wrong court, and he should have knew better. And isn't that interesting?
And he could, and he's that don't stop him from filing it in
Right.
the proper court. And I haven't heard nobody say or give the indication that he had planned to refile. Because, like you said, the issue they had a good issues. Constitutional issue, right on the issue. But then if you go to the wrong court, it don't make no difference how good your issues are. And I'm just wondering, maybe we give him the benefit of the doubt.
Give who the benefit of the doubt? Blakely?
Blakely.
Well,
Maybe he just haven't filed yet. Maybe by next week when we come back, we'll be saying that the man had filed in the proper court. Hopefully, I would like to believe that, because there's no excuse for it. But I give him the benefit of the doubt. He still got time to reprieve.
Okay, we got some callers on the line. Maybe they want to talk about this or Donald Trump or somebody. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? They say the money changes in the church. Is that the money changers? Isn't that what
Money
they call
changers
them?
in the church.
And they say Jesus ran the money changers out of the church. And I say, you know, you wonder about that. The money change, they don't call them changers now, they call them bankers. But there's one thing about it, money changer is a better and a precise description because the money changes from your hand to theirs. Ain't that a money changer? When your money leaves your hand and goes to somebody else, and they didn't even rob you. Well, it's robbery, but they didn't have a gun. If they have a gun, it's called armed robbery. And if they don't use a weapon, a knife or a gun, it's unarmed robbery.
And if you give it to them,
If you give it to them, well, that was fraud. They fleeced you, which you don't give it to them, you Wednesday, but it's still your money changed hands from theirs, from yours to theirs. Let's get this caller. Caller, you on the line. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to the conversation. When you talk about the Constitution and these laws, you can look it up for yourself that foreign interests, long time ago, around 1871, Congress, the 41st Congress, under no constitutional authority to do so, created a separate form of government for the District of Columbia. So when they went in there and did that, United States has been ran like a business all the time for corporations. So therefore, the corporation has been infiltrated. They are the United Snakes that have taken over the states. And due to, like I said, international foreign interests, they are in on it too as far as running this country. So really, you might as well say we're under the rule of dictatorship. And that's why we keep, like you said, your lawyer and your judges, the police stations, all these different government agencies been hijacked. Y'all need to look up the King Alfred plan. It's things he had said way back in the day and years ago. We're seeing it happen coming to fruition today, even with your so-called black president that gives protective, they have a protective ordinance for gays, and everybody has this, and immigrants, everybody has this protective class to serve and save them, but nobody has anything to support and save our conditions in our communities and our people. But every other group has a protective class agenda signed by your president. So when you talk about all our beautiful Democrats and our black politicians, they're just black faces and white spaces doing the do for master. Whatever they're being told what to do, they have no voice and have no choice. They're just high-paid bootlegs told what to do to enslave.
They were supposed to be some folks with some sense.
Well, they may have some sense, but it ain't to benefit us.
Well, them representatives don't look like they got any sense. Caller, you on there?
Good
Hello?
morning.
Good morning.
The young lady just before was right on point. Every word that comes out of her mouth is golden, and I would wish that people would adhere to what she's saying. Another thing is that Mr. Coleman Young, I asked him if he knew the procedure to start the impeachment process, and he told me he knew nothing of it. At that moment, I knew that we were in trouble. And that was the time when the water situation took place in Flint. When he told me, when those words came out of his mouth, I said, we're in trouble. He is not his father. He doesn't have any of his father in him. He doesn't even look like him. You need to get out of here. Get him out of there because he's dangerous. He's dangerous. All of them are. This place has been taken over by the corporations, as the young lady has said. I commit a crime. I'm in the corporate world. I go to court. My homeboy is the judge. So what are the little people going to do? This is getting ridiculous. It's time to take action. It's time to get physical. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. Caller, you on the air.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, and I agree with you. The legislators, the mostly white legislators, they are passing laws against our interests, and then they rush it and go and break the law to implement it on us. So they are lawmakers, write the law, and then they break the law. Then the black lawmakers in the state, they don't say nothing, and not saying nothing. Silence is said, I go along with it. Then you come to the city council, it's the same thing. Then if we go to take them to court, the judge is crooked. The lawyers is double agents. So if I go to lobby, in other words, appeal to the legislators, I'm appealing to crooks in Lansing and the city council. And if I take it to court to interpret and enforce the law, they crooks, and they're going to do what they want to do anyway. They tell me, go into court. If I tell me I'm wrong, we can't win that way because they crooks and double agents. Going to the state, appealing to the legislators who are crooks. Then I started thinking, is there anything else we can do to stop the conditions we got on us? Then I said, oh yeah, I do remember. People got together when they had courts set up in Alabama and all around the southern state, and the legislature was crooked, the courts was crooked. Well, the people got together in mass and hurt business by being in the streets. And I wonder, why don't we ever think of that like that in Detroit? Since, I agree with you about the courts and the legislature. I want somebody to get on there and tell me, why ain't we organizing ourselves so we could get thousands say, hell with the court, hell with the legislator. We don't control them, but we're not going to let you all make no more no more money on me and my family and take my future away from me and my children. I'm going to get in the streets like they did in the 60s and force the courts, force the legislators to do what I want to do. If they don't do it, I'm going to stay in the street 38 days straight like they did in Birmingham. And I'm going to stay in the street 38 days, and I'm going to do it all over the city. Why is that a foreign, why is that a mystic and a foreign subject to us? I'm just going to hang up and see, what do we do about it, since the courts got double agents and crooks that's running it in that courtroom. So then you got legislators who's making the law and breaking the law. What do we do after we see the institutions in society is all messed up? And what do we do, y'all? And the clerks down there, if you vote yes, and Daniel Baxter would change your vote to no and put in they wanna and pass any law they wanna. What do we do, y'all? I'm gonna just hang up and see what y'all think about it. What can we do? Because I agree with you, Hassan Nicole. Okay, now.
All right.
See, most of the people, we are telling people and trying to make more people aware of what's going on. And when we get enough people alert and understand, then we can challenge them and we can get them out of there, because the evidence is already out there. We got the evidence. We just got to get enough people aware and come together and put them out.
Put who out?
Jennifer Winfrey or whoever, whatever official that you're talking about.
It's not in our
That's
best
not
interest.
in our best interest.
Okay.
And we got to start making consequences for that. There is no consequences. That's why they continue to do the same thing that they've been doing.
All right. Take another call. Caller, you on the air.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, that state senator Coleman Young. I know his father is somewhere. Just like that's not my son. In fact, the mayor was sued to even take responsibility for this guy, and then the guy took the mayor's name. That wasn't his name. He was born with all the way up to a teenager. So he just took advantage of the mayor's name for political purposes. Just a wimp. But I think that was Tyrone before us. Why people don't get together and stuff like that. It's all systematically done back in the day. People used to meet in community groups through the neighborhood before this social media and TV and all that kind of stuff, and really concentrated on what was the problem. Say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Over the years, media, now social media, has distracted people. People don't even talk to people. They call people on a cell phone in the other room. They are just, it's crazy. Now, this new media could be of benefit, but the powers to be will never let us use it for mass demonstration.
They
Remember
can't stop
Mason, a few years ago, well, I think it was in the 90s, when someone was killed at Lord and Taylor's in Dearborn at the mall, and it was a black security guard, but we're sophisticated enough to know that black or white, you're working for the system of white supremacy. Anyway, Mason organized a boycott of Fairlane Mall. There were like over 10,000 people there. It's because he had a big microphone, and he, on the daily, said, we got the boycott Fairlane for what they did to this sister. Now corporate media, just about 5 of them own all the media, and they're not going to allow that to happen. So they purposely fragmented us and divided us all over the place. That's why we can't get the message out for a particular cause out in the street. Tyrone, I think that was Tyrone before. Our great station here, I said it before, is losing the opportunity to, on a consistent basis, use this format to go after our oppressors. But just like with everything else, they've divided this station all up into little parcels. This one is religious, this one is for Oak Snyder and the mayor, and this one is for the... You brothers here, my best media talk show format. I really appreciate you, brothers. That's what I want to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, he made a statement about the internet. They can't control the internet. They maybe can control the TV and some of the papers, but as far as the internet and social media, that's one thing that they can't control.
Well, I know one thing, we having some problems with the signals flashing on and off on Comcast, and every time we say something they don't like, that's what they do.
No, they can't do it
on the internet.
On the internet.
No.
Caller, you on there?
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
I agree with you, Carl. I was just getting ready to say that. They cannot control the internet. We have so many tools now that we didn't have before. And because of that, it's no excuse for us not to get our act together. Back in Martin Luther King days, et cetera, they didn't even have, cell phones or any of that stuff, but they managed to organize and get something done. Now, we all have established that the government is no longer the government as we knew it. Corporations are the new government. So why in the world are we still trying to go through what we used to do to deal with the government when the government is no longer the government? We're dealing with corporations. They have bought and paid for all of our, the majority of our so-called leaders. The Boulets, if you look up their history is that they're beholding to white elite. Their job is to watch over us to make sure to keep us in tow so that they can be rewarded by the white elite. So a Boulay is, well, they're worse than the white elite because they're traitors. Now, what we have to do that they understand. Corporations understands money. This is a capitalistic society. This is what the whole crux of the matter is. It's not about black, white, rich, poor. It's about that green dollar. Until we understand the power of our dollar, we will continue to be in this mess. Now, our forefathers withheld them, they sacrificed. But for some reason today, we can't sacrifice. Oh, you can't tell me how to spend my money. When new cell phones come out, everybody got to get, now today they got the iPhone 7. Every time you turn around, they got some new gadget, some new gimmick that we just fall for. Hold on to your money. Squeeze the money from the corporation's hands. Then you have their ear. Other than that, talking about elect this person, elect that person. If you get you get these 5 out of city council, you don't get 5 more just like them. So what difference does it make? You're not going to get anybody that's going to be for you through this system. The system is corrupt. The system has been changed, and we're not going to do anything effective until we think outside the box, and that is think outside the system. Thank you.
Thank you. You know what? I kind of disagree with you there. It's not the system. It's us. It's not the system, it's us. You look at every ethnicity or group that come over here in the United States and they work as a group. Everyone work as a group but us. But we want to blame everything else but us. It's us. If we work as a group, we can change things. But first we have to have an economic base. And if we come together and have an economic base, then we can control some of the things. Our politicians, the courts and all that. It's all about economics. We don't have no economic base. That's why we have the problem that we have. You could get another system all you want, but if you don't have an economic base, you're still going to be in the same situation.
Well, you're right, Carl, because most people think communists is not an economic system. They really think the communists, I don't know, we were just taught they were the boogeyman.
Yeah.
The communists were the bad guy, but they trading with them every day, aren't they?
Every day.
Don't they trade with communist China? And they don't even call them communists anymore because they believe in that almighty dollar. The Russians have money. The Russians are supposed to be the enemy. And they hacking this and hacking that, but they got planes, they got bombs, and they have money. They got that oil. So we're the ones that's got to think this through. And everybody, we don't have to have 100% of the black folks with you. You just have to have a few of them with you that's sticking together. And all these people we send in to Lansing, send some of them that's been protesting. If you don't see them with you out there in the street, why are you sending them to Lansing? That don't make sense. Sending people up there you don't know. And so when they don't do anything for you, then what? Who are you blaming? Oh, we shouldn't send nobody. No, and not we shouldn't send nobody. The people you don't like, probably the best one. But since you don't like them, since you've been knowing them and you don't like them, you don't want to send them to Lansing. See, that's our problem. You want to shoot yourself in the foot. You rather cut your nose off to spite your face. All that old crazy stuff. That's the problem. Let's take another call. Carl, you on air?
Hi, good morning, Carl and Hassan. First off, I want to thank you again, Carl, for helping me to save my grandmother's house from that goddamn land bank. Everything went through very well. I just want to give you a FYI and a follow-up on that. Thank you again. Now, I'm getting very weary of hearing people say that so-called black President Obama, has not done anything for us. That he's done something for everybody and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Did you notice that everybody he's done something for has had an agenda as a group, has gone to him, presented their agenda, and demanded what they wanted? Now, what's the black agenda? What is it? And what have we presented as a group, as a collective, to President Obama to accomplish for us? Nothing. We got a black caucus sitting down there in Washington that gives the biggest parties I hear ever and all this kind of stuff. We got all kinds of organizations and everything, but who got together and said one specific thing, one agenda, one program that the black people wanted? Just because the man is black don't mean he knows what you want. because what I want and what you want might be two different things. We have got to come together as a group. I'm reiterating what you guys just said. You are right. That is the big problem. We don't come together on nothing except to complain. We get on these shows, call in every day, all day long. I hear the same voices all up and down the dial all day talking the same stuff. But there is no collective agenda. What is it that we want? As black people, you put it on the table like the gays did and like the Latinos did and like everybody else did. Put it on the table and make them do it. That's the way this country works. Nobody's going to sit around and come to your bedroom and pull you out the bed and take you to a job and make you get a job. Somebody said, we ain't got no jobs. We ain't got no this. We ain't got no that. So, God darn it, get together, put your agenda together, and push it and make them do it. That's how you do things in this country. I mean, did everybody not get the memo?
All right. They didn't get the memo.
No, they didn't get it. And I mean, I'm sick and tired of hearing everybody blame everything on President Obama. He didn't do nothing for us. I tell you one thing, look over here at these community colleges where you can go 2 years for free just by coming out of a Detroit public school, because my kids are going to go. And you know how much money that saves you from going to a 4-year college where you can get those liberal arts out the way for free. I also got a first time in my life, a bridge card that I probably didn't deserve, but everybody whose kids were in the public school over the summer got bridge cards to buy food over the summer. Who do you think that was? Mickey Mouse that sent that down here? That was President Obama. Now, was it specifically for black people? No, but somebody went up there and fought for that, okay, and we got it. So that's what I'm talking about. What is going on here? Why are we not organizing? And we don't have to reconstruct the wheel. The template is there. The people in the civil rights movement, like many people have called in and said before already today, they knew how to do it. They organized and got together and did it, and it worked. Now, what's going on now? Nothing. The only time you see a bunch of black people lined up now is when the Jordan store open up downtown or wherever it is. They lined all around the block for that kind of stuff, or like you said, for the newest cell phone. That's important. But where's our priorities? We have got to get together on something, one thing at a time. Okay, because somebody's over here, somebody's over there. This one wants this one wants that. Everybody wants to be the chief. Nobody wants to be an Indian. And I mean, here we are. We're just scattered all over the places, so nothing gets done. So you blame it on the politicians. You blame it on President Obama. And incidentally, some of those people that called in are absolutely correct about Mr. Young. I like him, nice guy, loved his father and everything. But I asked him some of those same things, too, and he didn't want to deal. We're trying to get rid of Snyder. And we got those people up there in Lansing talking about we got less eggs and cotton and all that kind of stuff. But say something. Let's get together and do something as a collective. And that's all I have to say. And thanks for listening to me.
Thank you for making it here. You know, the other thing, Carl, you know, the folks been absolutely right. The young lady was absolutely right, last caller. And one of the things I'm hearing them saying, our black agenda. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we need to know that the bills where we got jobs were not called black bills. They weren't even called white bills. So number one, look at what happened here in the city of Detroit with the black agenda. African Town. When they said African Town, it got shot down, shot to the curb. Claude Anderson put in a plan for the and his plan was called the Inner City Business District. Inner City Business District. And when you say inner city in the past, who do you think they were talking about? Lived in inner city.
Talking about nobody but us. We was the majority.
In the inner city. So we've got to be clever enough, wise enough, not to fall for the okie doke. If you got a black agenda, you really think it's going to pass Congress? All the president does is sign a bill that comes out of Congress, come out the city and come out to Congress. And it was voted on, and they got enough votes to pass. When they selling the milk and the cheese and they got all this farm produce, they put it under the food stamp. When they want to get rid of the food stamps, when they say we don't want the poor people to have any, how is this still functioning? Because there are 41 senators from agricultural states that voted to keep them food stamps going. Senators from Michigan. Michigan has a lot of agriculture that we don't know about. We don't know they produce a lot of agriculture and they export it out of the state. Beans and cherries and stuff like that. Navy beans, they grow. That's one of the top crops. The beans that Michigan exports. Cherries. So they export a lot of produce. Now you got 41 senators, that's a big block, and they're going to vote down whatever anybody else wants to get through. They don't care if it's the military. They'll vote it down because they're going to protect their own turf.
Right.
And that's what the folks up in Lansing don't seem to understand. You got to protect your turf. They didn't get in there. They don't think about the insurance is high on the rest of the state. They always talk about Detroit. Or what happened to the black folks. But what about all them poor white folks across the state that's getting their cars impounded? That had to pay that insurance fee. How come they didn't get with those legislators? Because it's too easy not to do their job and sit back and say, well, we outnumbered and the Republicans will never vote for it. They crazy as hell. And we know the Republicans will vote for it. If it's worth voting for.
That's right. It's going to benefit them.
If it's going to benefit them. So that's the problem. And you know what? We got to register people to vote. We got to get out to vote. And you got to get your people out. Find some new people. Get your nieces and grandsons, your grandchildren, get them voted. Make sure they vote. You ought to have 10 voters registration cards coming to your house. You say, what are you talking about? If they don't have nowhere to stay all the time, then they live with you half of the time. You call a mailing address. And they can vote from that precinct.
That's right.
They got to have somewhere to send it to. What's wrong with you? And wherever they live, go by and get them. A lot of them are not stationary. They move around a lot. But get them out to vote. It don't make any difference where they stay at. Get them out to vote. And I'm saying the same thing to them politicians, the mayors, Mayor Weaver, the mayor up in Pontiac, the different councilmen around here. How you want to run for council and you're not registering people to vote? I don't understand that. How are you going to get elected to city council against the people with the money and you don't get your own people out there to vote? It's not like they got so much money, but the people, you got to have the votes, which are the people. Therefore, you got to get your people. You got to get some new voters. You got to hit the street, hit the block. That's the only way they're going to get that money in Flint. Haven't Debbie Stabenow been trying to get a bill through?
Yeah.
She's been trying to get a bill through, and she couldn't call it the Flint bill, so it's some kind of infrastructure water bill, but hundreds of other similar situated cities across the country. And she's from Michigan, along with Peters. They're trying to get a bill, and you got the Mormons out in Utah that's trying to stop it. Wouldn't even let it out for the hearing. But they're still trying. Therefore, we got to get a majority of people in the Senate and in the House in order to control and push these bills forward. Same thing right here in Michigan. You got to get out and push for these new people to get these bills, to get these state reps, and if the one that's in there now that's not doing the job, why are we keeping them there? What are they getting paid? About $90,000. They paying them enough money to ride up there every day, the gas bill and everything else. Enough for the gas. $90,000, more money than they ever had in their life. Never had a job. So why are you begging them to do anything, and all you got to do is let them know you going back to the McDonald's. You going back to some restaurant, some $2 an hour job that you had, or you gonna have to get a ski mask. Try to stick somebody up. Hey, they know what you're saying. Make them do it. Caller, you on air.
All right, good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great show. I've enjoyed the conversation. It's really good. I understand a lot of the things that you're saying, and I agree with a lot of it. But we haven't progressed past what was happening in the 50s and 60s, and the reason is because the black church doesn't have the same effect on a community that it did back in the 50s and 60s when there were marches and everything. Because now you don't get young people in the churches, so you don't have that same push, for a united front to do things. When people go to vote, there is no one candidate that we can say, hey, Jack Black is the one we want to pick because he supports the community and he's going to do stuff for the community. So people go by name recognition. If they recognize the name, they vote for it without even looking at the person's policies or their history as far as the office is concerned. So now you get the same people back in office over and over again. They didn't do nothing the first term, and they ain't doing nothing now because they just got a name that's popular. His name could be Michael Jordan, and everybody vote for him because his name is Michael Jordan. Not that they know what Michael Jordan's policies are. They just know his name is Michael Jordan. It's familiar. And that's where our problem is. We don't take the time to read and study. Look at how many people showed up to vote for the judges that were running. And then we complain about who's down at Frank Murphy or who's down at 36th District Court. Nobody showed up to vote, and now we're subject to the judges that are bad because we didn't get out to vote and put somebody in there that's going to be sympathetic to the community and understand what's going on in the community. Same thing for city council. Same thing for the representatives in Lansing. You keep putting the same people back in there that don't do nothing, so what do you expect from them? And they know that people are just going to go in there and they see a familiar name, check the box, and they know they got it, so they don't even have to campaign anymore. Because
Right
people just
about
don't
that.
put them back in there for no reason. And that's what we're stuck with. And until we change that mentality in our own community that you need to stop and read, then that's what's going to happen.
You're right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need to change our methods.
Yeah, the caller's right. One judge we need to vote for is Judge Deborah Thomas.
Yeah,
Deborah
we
Thomas,
know
the
she-
people's judge, and she's running for Michigan State Supreme Court. Now, the other thing is we got to get on the Michigan Democratic Party to get a woman some money to campaign with. You're going to hear all of these commercials for the Republican judges. Kim Worthy got up there and campaigned for Venero before. Was the name Venero?
Venero. Yeah.
No, that was Judge.
That
That called him
was,
Zorro, Judge Zorro, and this other guy like Venero, Vini, or somebody. It's another judge. Start with a V. I didn't bring it with me, but we can't go on what Republican judge Kim Worthy wants us to vote for. Is that crazy? See, we got people that you vote in office, the prosecutor, and she wants you to vote Republican. Don't make sense.
That shows you where she's at.
So we got, like he said, you got to check these folks out. We just keep checking the box. We see their name. You vote them in year after year after year, but we don't know their policy. Well, she's the one talking about voting for Republicans in the past. We're going to watch it. And when we see her in the commercial, we'll see this time if she's doing the same thing. Why not? Y'all, she got in unopposed. Then nobody opposed her for prosecutor. Now, go back, Judge Deborah Thomas. That's what we need to do. Vote in some judges, and she would win if she got some money from the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So these people out here saying, well, I'm not going to campaign. I'm not going door to door till the Democratic give me some money. They're paying everybody else. Well, quit being selfish and let's at least try to get the judge in. If they pay you or not, you don't affect the policies on the Supreme Court. The Michigan Supreme Court, all these crazy rulings coming down by these Tea Party Republicans. The Snyder appoints.
That's right.
The Snyder appoints. What was that name? You know what? I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that I left that name because she's running, this lady that's running as a Republican and I believe she's running against Judge Deborah Thomas. She was appointed, so Deborah Thomas is running against her for that seat that Snyder appointed her to. And this is one of the judges that Donald Trump says, well, if I get to be president, here's a list of the judges that I would appoint.
And that's one of them.
And we got one of them crazy judges on the Michigan Supreme Court that Donald Trump favors. Well, give me a break. We need Judge Deborah Thomas very, very bad. We need her, and we need to get out and support this woman.
Because we know where...
we know where Trump's coming from.
Yeah, we know where Deborah Thomas is coming from, too, because she had been in the community.
For a long time. Okay, Carl, we're down on time. You're the last call. Make it quick.
All right, good. A quick follow-up. I got something for Carl, but the last two callers, they represent this self-hate, blame the victim kind of stuff. You know, black people have been fighting and working and trying to get their liberty since the inception of this country. And as far as Obama, that so-called black president, yeah, I'll say it, people have been giving him proposals and plans to do something for black people since he's been in there. He really doesn't need it because the statistics show themselves what the problem is in this country and black people's relationship to it. So all of that self-hate needs to go out the trash. But Carl, you mentioned that the internet is the only thing that's not censored or you can do anything on it. No, the internet is the most. Listen, it's the most monitored system of communication on the planet.
You're
right. They can close you down. They can block you out of this.
You're absolutely right. We got to go, Carla. You're absolutely right, Carla. We appreciate it. We'll call it earlier next week. We'll talk about it. We don't want to go, but we got to go. We down on time, fastest hour in television anyway. I'm your host, Hassan Aleem.
Co-host Kyle Williams.
And we're here every Tuesday, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock every Tuesday, and you will be back. We got to go. Don't want to go. See you next week. Until then, peace.
Peace.